Now I would like us to think together about how we tend to cope in real life with all of the different challenges that we have to keep ourselves as regulated as we can physically, sensory, and emotionally. We know that this is not easy, okay, for anyone, and especially not easy being a neurodivergent person and a neurodivergent parent. So what we have happen in reality is that many of us have developed different like maladaptive habits. These are habits that we have done on certain strategies, certain things that we've been doing to cope with the different levels of stress, with different demands, with different things that throw us off. We have managed a way through to kind of making it work just about work. So these kind of maladaptive strategies, they allow us to deal with the challenge that we have at the moment, but they usually have really negative consequences in the future and over time. Some of the things might be, for instance, like to instead of when we are in a conversation and we tend to be more distracted from what someone is saying, we start hiding that we actually not on the same page. We might start adapting and trying to make seem that we actually feeling in a certain way, so the other person don't feel bad, or don't doubt, don't have like we don't put any kind of stress or tension in a relationship with someone, but we start masking some of the ways in which we are, some of the ways in which you feel, some of the things in which you're actually not on the same page with everyone. And instead of asking question and telling someone, hey, you know what, I don't remember the last thing that you said, I got distracted, can you please repeat it, we act as we are actually part of the same conversation and we are on board. Other things that we do, and these kind of things, just what that's an example. Other things could be actually how we cope with, for instance, lack of feeling drained to the next day. We could be, some of us cope sometimes with a lot of coffee. Some other people self-medicate by drinking loads to feel more relaxed and to deal with tension and things in our lives. Like in taking certain things that are not really healthy, and they're gonna, we could develop an addiction if we keep carrying on. And there are different things that we have done, and we all done some of them, so it's no shame in admitting if you're there. Please, like, know that there's no judgment about this. It's more of an acknowledgement that some of the things in which we used to cope with certain challenges that we face being neurodivergent might be not the healthiest for you right now. And the invitation for you to be okay is to actually start reflecting, stop yourself a little bit and reflect in the areas of your life in which you maybe have engaged in things and you're still carrying on certain things that are actually maladaptive to kind of cope with things right now. Other things that we tend to do sometimes is avoiding the things that are more challenging for us, right? That's another maladaptive habit that we might develop, because for instance, I might feel sometimes that I don't know how to cope with really big groups of people. You might feel a little bit like awkward, not knowing how to act, finding really overwhelming when you face an invitation from a friend to a social gathering, to a birthday party. You might feel like you don't really want to, so you might avoid that and say like, oh, I have a commitment, I cannot come, instead of saying, you know what, I'm not feeling really, that's not my kind of place, can we meet another time, or can I see you just in a one-to-one or a smaller group? But the fact that we're avoiding it and telling the other person something that is not the truth could prevent us from actually keep nourishing our friendships, keep nourishing things that actually allow us to have really authentic and really good relationships in our lives. So just invite you to kind of review a little bit some of the different mechanisms and strategies that you might be using right now. And something to keep in mind is like becoming a parent for many of us was put our all of our coping mechanisms, all of our strategies before to test, because probably to what many of us experienced, that before being a parent we were doing things in our daily lives in which things were working, and now we became a parent and things are not working anymore. So we all might have faced like a tipping point in which everything that worked before being parents to kind of uh, cope with, adapt as a neurodivergent person in the world worked before, and now it's not working anymore. So it can be really throwing us off, and all of the different strategies that you used before not working, and then we are facing the challenges. How do we actually do this now? So basically, just to keep you the reminder is just to be kind to yourself. Being a parent, it is an extra challenge that comes into a life. It's an opportunity to also have more awareness in terms of the type of strategies that we've been using so far, and maybe if you haven't considered them before, to give yourself time to do that, and now being a bit more mindful in terms of what are the kind of changes that you can start doing in our daily life. So actually being with having strategies that not just working for right now, work for the future. Sometimes it takes a bit more time to develop, but they're very worthwhile, because that's what is going to guarantee you that you can carry on being okay, and you can make those changes sustainable over time. From what we've been talking together and thinking about this, you may realize that creating new habits is a bit challenging. It's not like a quick fix. It takes some time to develop and transform habits, especially that we have been carrying before as coping mechanisms, and making positive habits, they're worthwhile because they're gonna sustain the changes that you want to see through in your life and in your parenting, in your relationship with your kids, and in the way in which you want to see yourself as a parent. Um, so habits, for starts, are all of the actions that are natural, they feel natural, or they feel automatic. We don't need to think about it. We just do it, right? Like we every time we put shoes on, we tie them up, right? That's a habit. We have different type of habits, and here we're gonna start talking about how to develop new habits. To develop this requires time, requires repetition, requires a high level of commitment and perseverance, because there's a certain process in which we go through when we develop habits. At the beginning, the process looks really slow curve of like progress, and at the beginning it's really hard work, and but when once we get to a point in which the habit starts getting automated and we don't need to put a lot of effort, then the rest, the body creates like certain, we get used to it. There are certain changes in our bodies and in our brains wiring in which this feels automatic. A good example is like learning how to drive. At the beginning, if you just when you just started learning how to drive, you were probably thinking of all the things that you needed to do, all of the steps to change gears, but there was a point in which the more you were doing it, you were start doing it automatically and you didn't have to think about it. But at the beginning, that process of learning a new habit requires a big push, and that push and the time in which we average people, like people in average, requires to develop a new habits and to become arrive to this automated period or this automated stage is around 9 weeks or 66 days in average of these cycles or repetition. So this is creating a new positive habit is like a muscle memory, and it's going to be creating new brain connections and strengthening for you, and it's going to become easier and easier over time. Now we're going to be talking and helping you think about what are the new habits or the positive habits that you would like to start in your making in your life, in your day-to-day lives. There are certain tips that we would like to help you with making this decision and choosing one thing that you would like to actually start transforming or changing, or like one new habit that you would like to start in your life. And this habit needs to be something that for you is meaningful. It has certain purpose, and basically makes you feel excited, makes you feel happier, brings some joy probably into your life. When you think, how would you how would you feel if you see yourself jumping ahead of time, and imagine yourself like when you already have this habit, how would that make you feel? that will give you a picture of choosing something that is definitely going to be adding value to your life and allowing you to be okay as a parent as well. So it's important that you choose something, one thing that is actually manageable and sustainable, something that is not too complex, and it needs to fit alongside to all of the non-negotiables that you have in your life as part of your responsibilities, as part of the different areas in which you're managing yourself, as part of your parenting responsibilities and family responsibilities too. So they need to fit well with what you already have in your plate. One of the first things that we can you can keep into mind to make this happen is first write your motivations. What is the purpose? How do you see yourself at the end of this journey of developing this new habit? If you have a motivation, grab your journal or a piece of a notebook, a piece of paper, and write what that motivation, or a post-it could be even, and write the motivation there and leave it somewhere where you can actually see it. Make it visual in a way. Plan ahead. When are you going to start this new habit, and have like a launch pad, like a certain launch date or a starting date, and try to see yourself, like for instance having like certain habit tracker could work really well. As part of our materials, we're also going to give you some of these tools, so you can, these really valuable tools to help you along your journey, and you can keep yourself in on track. Also doing something like a launch pad, that is like a certain setup space, in physical space in your home, in which you always keep certain elements that you're going to be using for your new habits. For instance, for example, if you choose like to start running, doing a little bit jogging in the mornings, but you always feel like you're hesitant in the mornings, we haven't done it yet, what you can do have like a certain space, set up a certain space at the entrance of your house, where you put your training shoes and your bottle of water and anything, all of your gear there for going for your jog. So you see it, you leave it on the night before, and it's ready for you in the morning. So it takes you less effort to start doing that. It could mean different things. It could be if you're gonna start doing certain shopping for food that is actually healthy, to leave the shopping bag close to the door so you see it there, so you have everything in the same spot. Another thing that you can have is keep in mind that sharing any changes that you're doing for the first time in your life, having a community of people that can support you is very important. Having, for instance, like an accountability partner or a person in your life that you can tell them how your progress is, they can cheer you up and give you support, is fundamental. And also being around like-minded people, like people that are also changing, starting making shifts in their lives and improving their parenting, for instance, or the relationship with the kids, or feeling more okay about it, is going to be a great encouragement for you to keep on track with any changes that you would like to make. And that's part of what we invite you to be part of our community within this course and within Neurodivergent Parenthood. And please use the space to lean into each other with other people like you that can also help, can be helpful. You can receive their help and support, and you can provide that for others too. So yeah, check in with others, lean on their support, and also feel proud of yourself every time that you make a step forward and you keep yourself on track. Give yourself a certain reward. Say yes, celebrate it, acknowledge it, and treat yourself with like really positive things, so you can have this feeling of like feeling good, because of every step of the way is really, really valuable. It's gonna make a whole difference at the end. Now I invite you to go to your workbook and work in the materials in the worksheet that we have put there to support all of your process of making and starting new positive habits in your life, that it's going to be making being okay sustainable for you as a neurodivergent parent, and it's going to allow you to develop these really positive new habits. So go for it.